The brain. Let's take a look at two divisions, the cerebrum and the diencephalon. This division we're going to identify as the cerebrum. And within the cerebrum, we have the cerebral cortex. The cerebral cortex, we're processing sensory information from a lot of different parts of the brain. And then also, we're planning and executing movement, planning and executing movement. Moving into this region right here, and again, these are generalized labels, and you may find a label to be a little bit different in different models that you look at. But in this region here, we're going to call it the basal ganglia or basal nuclei. And in this region, you coordinate movement or control movement, such as fine motor movement. And then also habits and addictive behaviors have been found to be regulated in this area in the basal nuclei. Down in this region, we're going to find the hippocampus and the amygdala, which are part of the limbic system. And anytime you hear limbic system, think emotions, because the amygdala of the limbic system is involved in processing emotions. We also have the hippocampus, which is involved in learning and memory. Now let's go over to this section of the brain, and we're going to call this area the diencephalon. And in the diencephalon, we have the thalamus. The thalamus has a major role. All the sensory information from the body goes through the thalamus and is relayed to the brain, except for that of smell, olfaction, or olfactory. So it's going to the olfactory nerves. So except for smell, there's an exception, right? Usually, except for smell, all the sensory information is going through the thalamus, a major relay that's going to end up being processed in the brain. And then below the thalamus, you have the hypothalamus, and hypo means below. And with the hypothalamus, if you hear the term releasing hormones, those are produced by the hypothalamus. Oxytocin, involved in childbirth, produced by the hypothalamus. Antidiuretic hormone causing us to retain water, produced by the hypothalamus. When you think about retaining water, then you may be thinking about being thirsty, right? And thirst and hunger, also hypothalamus. Then also body temperature, a classic one, being regulated by the hypothalamus. Let's take a look at the notes. So again, cerebrum, we have the cerebral cortex integrating sensory information, planning and executing movement. Basal nuclei, motor control of movements, and then habits and addictions. Limbic system includes the amygdala, processing emotions, and the hippocampus for memory and learning. This region, we're calling it the diencephalon. We have the thalamus. All the information, sensory information from the body gets relayed through the hypothalamus that's going to the brain, except for olfaction, which you may be thinking of the olfactory nerve, and you'd be correct, cranial nerve 1. Except for that, except for smell, all the other information is going through. And then also here we have the hypothalamus. Hypo means below, so it's below the thalamus. And here we have oxytocin and antidiuretic hormone are produced. Releasing hormones are produced here, and it's regulating thirst and hunger and body temperature. Are you ready to try without the notes? Ready to do it? Let's do it. Cerebral cortex, integrating sensory information from different parts of the brain, planning and executing movement. Basal nuclei, habits, addictions, regulating or controlling movement. Limbic system, amygdala, emotions, hippocampus, planning or memory, learning and memory. Thalamus, relay point for a relay structure for all the sensory information except for olfaction, except for smell. Hypothalamus, releasing hormones, oxytocin, antidiuretic hormone, thirst and hunger, body temperature. Thanks for joining me today.